My John Wick Explained video is currently the most viewed video on my channel, and with Chapter 3 coming on May 17th, I thought it perfect timing to go into the details on John Wick Chapter 2. Heads up, major spoilers ahead for John Wick Chapter 2. Let's do this. Hey everyone, my name's Austin, and this channel is all about helping you to dig deeper and go further to better understand faith, film, and everything in between. If that's exciting to you when you're new here, consider subscribing. John Wick Chapter 2 picks up right where the first one left off. John is on his way to get his car back from Abram, Viggo's brother, who he went after in the first movie. Abram wants revenge on John for killing both his brother and his nephew. John has little to no trouble getting through all of his goons and to his office. John approaches, pours himself and Abram a drink, and chooses to spare him as a peace offering. It is here that we are first presented with the central theme of the movie. Abram takes the drink and asks John, "Can a man like you know peace?" To which John responds, "Why not?" and leaves. John arrives home, buries his weapons under cement once again, hoping that he can finally put his old life behind him. He is then visited by Santino D'Antonio, the man who helped him get out of the assassin life before. Santino presents John with a marker, representative of a blood oath that he and John had made in the past. The marker allows Santino to draw upon John's services once again, to which John refuses, knowing the consequences. Santino leaves, grabs a rocket launcher, and blows up his house. Thankfully, the new dog survives because I don't know if I could have gone through losing another dog. John returns to the Continental to seek counsel from Winston. Unfortunately for John, there is nothing he can do because it is a blood oath. By refusing, John's life would be up for grabs. Winston is a man of rules, and he advises John that if he wants his freedom, he needs to do what the man asks and honor the marker. John then returns to Santino, who wants him to kill his sister Gianna so that he can take her place at the high table. John accepts and travels to Rome to complete the task. Mentally, I return back to the theme I mentioned at the beginning of this video. John desires peace for himself. Unfortunately, his past has now caught up with him, and he sees this mission as the only way that he can get out and truly find peace for himself. Before he can complete his mission, he goes for a tasting in one of the coolest loadout scenes ever. John then sneaks into Gianna's coronation, tells her that Santino sent him, and she tells him what will happen as consequence for what he's about to do. After this, she chooses to end her life on her own terms, cutting her wrists. While doing this, she asks John if he fears damnation, to which he responds, yes. This goes back again to his desire to find peace. He knows he does not deserve it, but he strives for it at all costs. As Gianna dies, John holds her hand as she passes, and then puts a bullet in her head to still claim the kill. As he is leaving, he passes by Cassian, Gianna's head bodyguard. Suspecting what just went down, he pulls his gun on John, who pulls his gun on him, and the two ensue on a chase across the city. They both end up back at the Continental of Rome, and due to the rules of no business to be conducted on Continental grounds, they stop at a bar to calm their nerves. John explains the situation to Cassian, who understands but cannot allow the killer of his boss to go unpunished. The two go their separate ways, and on John's way out, he sees Santino's mute bodyguard who has been following him. As John returns to New York thinking he finally has his peace, a contract is put out on his head by Santino for killing his sister, because he's a jerk. Multiple people come after John, who he takes down in classic John Wick fashion. Cassian returns and the two duke it out once again, and John leaves him on a subway hanging on for life. Injured, John sits down next to a homeless man and asks him for help, who turns out to be an assassin himself and hides him. Neo then wakes up to an epic reunion with Morpheus. John wakes up, now in the care of the Bowery King. They make a deal to get John a gun, 7 bullets, and Santino's whereabouts. John tracks him down to a museum where he is set to take his place at the high table. John crashes the event, and we have an epic chase and fight with Santino and his mute bodyguard. Santino gets away and seeks refuge at the Continental because he's a coward. John follows him, and knowing the consequences, confronts and kills him. In the next and final scene, we return again to the theme of peace. The next day, John meets Winston at a park. Winston informs him that the High Table has doubled the contract on his head and he is now excommunicado. All of his rights and privileges with the Continental have been revoked. He tells him he has 1 hour. He also gives John a marker, which I'm really curious to see how this comes into play in the 3rd chapter. John turns, takes his dog, and runs. Though he has essentially now been condemned to death, even that would not bring peace for him because of his fear of damnation. So now, going into the 3rd movie, he is in a continuing fight to attempt to find peace for his life. And just as the trailers are teasing us, if you want peace, prepare for war. Now, the average person would not see anything to do with the John Wick movies as Christian or biblical, but I like that we can still pull this kind of stuff out of here. Look at when we want to find peace in our own lives. It's not something that we can just obtain easily. We have to fight for it. We have to be relentless in our pursuit of it. And God is the one who can carry us along on that path as we seek peace. And He is the only one who can bring that true peace into our lives. If you want to continue digging deeper and going further to better understand faith, film, and everything in between, you are in the right place. Subscribe to my channel if you have not yet, and I will see you in the next video.